Hi, my name is Alex and I'll be explaining the scope management section of a project management plan. I've broken this into three main parts: the project scope statement, work breakdown structure, and the scope control plan. The project scope statement provides an overall description of the purpose and objectives of the project. It also provides a clear set of deliverables and measurable requirements to ensure the project meets stakeholder expectations. This section should also include exclusions, inclusions, assumptions, and constraints of the project. Each of these are found at a high level in the project charter and should be expanded on in detail in this section. The work breakdown structure is usually a hierarchy diagram like this example. A good work breakdown structure represents the same information found in the charter and scope statement, but visually. They should also be numbered to provide a simple reference to tasks or work packages which are referred to elsewhere in the project management report. These sections should also be regularly reviewed and updated, so it's a large part when it comes to maintaining a PMP. The Scope Control Plan details the management approach regarding scope changes or variances. Any changes in scope must consider changes to schedule, cost, and sometimes requirements and the traceability matrix. A good way to recognize variances in scope and avoid scope creep is to collect work performance data regularly through things like meetings. Often a scope baseline is used for this section, but it is important to set a baseline which can be both decreased and expanded on to prevent common difficulties in scope additions. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Nicholas and I'm going to talk about human resource management. Human resource management can be known as crew resource management, so that we are able to estimate the manpower required for our team, for the project, and we will need to fully utilize the manpower and minimize the manpower cost and maximize the usage under reasonable areas so that we will not have any waste of the money or manpower shortage or manpower over. And the most important thing is right man, right place, right responsibilities. And the management plan is by the first stage is the human resource management, the second is talent acquisitions, the third one will be talent development, and the fourth one will be talent management. Human resource management is to identify the roles required and their responsibilities, and we need to identify what's the requirement for the particular roles. And the second stage will be on the talent acquisitions. We will need to go through the hiring websites to hire them, such as Glassdoor, JobSearch, and JobSeeker. After we identify the right candidates, we will need to invite them for the interview, and we'll know that are they suitable for the particular role and the responsibilities. The third one will be talent development. Talent development is about training and developing the team to suit the project, and we need to go for some team building so that they are able to work together, and brainstorming to let them know what's the job will be. And last but not least, the talent management. Talent management including recognition and awards for the team member, for the employee, and the training and needs for them to perform their jobs, and we need to ensure the safety and fairness and equity in the team. Thank you.
A vital inclusion to high-quality project management plans, PMPs, is a well-constructed stakeholder analysis. The identification, analysis, and assessment of project stakeholders allows strategies to be undertaken to manage the relationship between involved or affected parties and the project itself, increasing the project's likelihood of success. Through this process, Cyber PM needs the ability to prioritize stakeholders, as this allows their expectations and needs to be managed effectively. Power versus interest matrices are a useful tool to accomplish this, and by ordering and distinguishing the stakeholders, specific engagement levels can be determined. This elevates the PMP standard for AutoGenesis's customers. Then, using the prioritizing system, a management plan needs to be implemented so that the customers know how to effectively engage stakeholders, as each stakeholder needs a tailored communication approach based on their influence, personal preferences, and/or their communication abilities. This management plan needs to increase positive support across all stakeholder groups while minimizing possible harmful effects throughout the project's lifetime. A sign of a poor quality PMP is not distinguishing the different needs of the individual stakeholders. By doing this, Cyber PM will cause the customers of Autogenesis to use resources in areas that are not necessary, whilst not managing key stakeholders to a level needed for a successful project outcome. Thus, Cyber PM must not only provide customers with this high level of evaluation, but also address that this model is dynamic, that it will change over the course of the project lifetime and must need monitoring by the project management team.
I'm going to talk about the cost management plan. I divided it into 4 sections. The first section is the purpose. In order to complete the project within a limited budget, the cost management plan should define the cost of the planned project and define how to control the cost and determine the person in charge of cost control. Costs can be divided into external costs and internal costs. When measuring the cost of consumptions, standards for controlling costs should be introduced. The second section is the cost management roles and responsibilities. In this part, responsibilities for cost management should be assigned, and each role in the team will clarify their responsibilities and obligations in the cost control. The team leader needs to clearly understand the specific numbers of each project budget and the priority of the fund allocations and how to obtain the authorizations for additional funds. The third section is the cost management approach. We can use the cost record sheet to record each expense. Every month, the project manager should collect all the cost records and report them to the project leader. And some indicators will be used to assess the current degree of project cost usage, such as CPI and SPI. After CPI and SPI exceed the acceptance range during the construction process, the project leader should immediately take measures to restore the CPI and SPI to the normal range. The final part is approach. The project leader should sign at the end of the project management plan, which means that project leader understands and agrees to the project management plan.
I'm Patrick Ling, and I'll be covering the Ethics Management Plan. This section is designed to discourage the unethical or illegal behaviour in employees. I've broken up this section into 4 aspects: integrity, engagement, health and safety, and sustainability. First we have integrity. In this section we highlight honesty and respect. Complete honesty should be a standard in the workplace. Employees should be encouraged to criticise bad behaviour and acknowledge good work. To reinforce respect for everyone, an emphasis should be made on teamwork. There are rules and regulations put in place to eliminate discrimination in the workplace. Make sure these are well known to everyone. Next we have engagement. This is where we implement methods to engage with the community and other stakeholders. This could be in the form of a Q&A discussion forum or contact line. Even social media is a great communication tool if used properly. Project developments should be shared to create a high degree of transparency. This will help build trust and improve outsider relationships. Most importantly, the feedback from the community and stakeholders should be used to influence project decisions. The next section covered is health and safety. This is probably the most important aspect of the ethics management plan. It should be made top priority on any project. Rules, regulations and restrictions should be clearly outlined to remove any grey areas in safety. Employees should also be encouraged to report all injuries and near misses. This applies for both physical and mental well-being. Finally, we have sustainability. In this section, we discuss the present and future needs of the community. Things like the life cycle analysis and triple bottom line must be considered in order to obtain sustainability. The use of renewable resources and reduced carbon footprint are good aspects to discuss as they show awareness to environmental concerns. That's all I have time for. Thank you for listening.
Hi, my name is Sabab, and today I'll talk about the requirement management plan. In this section, all the requirements of a project will be analyzed, prioritized, and documented. To make a great RMP, we need to consider the following 4 points. Identify and analyze. Here, you can identify all the requirements in a project by following these 3 points: stakeholder requests and expectations, project scope statement, and the project charter. Please mention how you identified the requirements in your document. For example, clarified through brainstorming sessions and organizing meetings with stakeholders. Here's an advice to make an amazing PMP. Please mention the different types of requirements in a given project: functional requirements, business requirements, environmental requirements, etc. Next, analyze the requirements for quality, validity, correctness, and measurability. For a better RMP, think of these two questions. Is this a condition of the project? A capability of the project? You get the idea. Remember, if it's not a measurable, then it's not a requirement. Prioritize your requirement by considering the following. Which ones have the greatest benefit? Risk, dependencies, time constraints. Advice from me to you. Requirements are subject to change. Write how you'll do meetings with clients or stakeholders to update prioritization levels and stay on track. How will you manage the requirements? Here are a few tips. Use the WBS, scope, schedule, and risks. Mention the number of times you will check the validity of the status, perhaps through routine weekly assessments. Remember, you need to monitor the requirements continuously throughout the project, so make sure you have proper documentations for it. Speaking of documentations, remember to add the risk traceability matrix. This is where all the details of the requirements are recorded. Include the following: description of the requirement, acceptance criteria, unique ID for the requirement. To make a top-notch matrix, link it to the WBS. Mention the individual or stakeholder who is responsible for the requirement. You can even add a priority level or a status of completion. Here's a great example of a risk traceability matrix. And that concludes my presentation. I hope you like it. Thank you.